Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 NFL team preview. We're taking a look at the San Diego Chargers. We're going to break down their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams to see what we can expect from the Chargers this upcoming season.
Philip Rivers is entering his 10th season in the National Football League, a guy that has thrown for over 27,000 yards in his career and 189 touchdowns. We know he can get the job done from a physical standpoint, but this year he has to make a conscious effort to eliminate the turnovers, the fumbles, the interceptions, the bad decisions. If he can cut that to a minimum, this is a team that can go very far in the AFC. Backing him up is Charlie Whitehurst, a longtime vet. He's going to have to battle incumbent Brad Sorensen, whom they drafted in the 7th round, for the backup job. If the Chargers keep 3, then Sorensen will settle in as the 3rd spot as he learns the system. Ryan Matthews is one talented running back. This guy has the vision, he has elusiveness, he has the speed to take it the distance. He can also catch the football out of the backfield. The one thing he doesn't have or hasn't shown so far in his career is the ability to stay healthy. If he can do that, the Chargers running game can do a lot of good things this season, and that's what the Chargers are banking on, him being 100% and healthy for a full 16-game season. When you look at Ronnie Brown, capable backup, but I like Edwin Baker, whom they drafted last season out of Michigan State. I think it's time to move on from Ronnie Brown. They also bring in Danny Woodhead from the New England Patriots, and this is a guy that I really would like to see get the football a lot more. He can do so much damage to a defense in the running game as well as in the passing game. He just needs the opportunity. And at fullback, they have a pretty good player in LeBron McClain, one of the best lead blockers in the game, and he opens up holes for those running backs. If they can stay healthy back there, they're going to be fine this season. When you look at the Chargers receiving core, you see a lot of length and athleticism. Malcolm Floyd was headed toward his first 1,000-yard season last year before missing the last 2 games with injury, and he should easily surpass that this year. Denario Alexander displayed game-breaking ability in his first season with the San Diego Chargers, averaging over 17 yards a catch, and he has gotten better each and every year. That's exactly what you want to see out of a receiver. Now, they will definitely welcome back Vincent Brown, who missed all of last season with an injury. He's tough across the middle and has arguably the best hands on the roster. All eyes will be on rookie 3rd-round pick Keenan Allen out of Cal. He'll be an ideal player in a slot because of his agility and his run-after-the-catch skills. He's a very fluid runner that reminds me a lot of Brandon Marshall. And they still have guys in Robert Meacham, who's looking to have a bounce-back season this year, wanted to be the deep threat that they sorely needed last season, and Eddie Royal, who's dangerous on swing passes, hitches, and screens. And also keep an eye on undrafted rookie free agent Luke Tasker, who's the son of Bills great Steve Tasker out of Cornell. He has a really good chance to make the roster. This is the guy that runs excellent routes, could also help out as a returner. At the tight end position, future Hall of Famer Antonio Gates showed no signs of slowing down last season, finishing 2nd on the team in receptions with 49, and he also scored 7 touchdowns. But it's time to start working in a second option at the tight end spot, which is why they signed free agent John Phillips out of Dallas. But I think Ladarius Green, the 2012 4th-round pick out of Louisiana, could give them exactly what they need, which is another option at tight end that can catch the football but has the versatility to flex out as a wide receiver. So overall, you can make a case for the Chargers having a better receiving core than the Denver Broncos, or at least athletically speaking, but Philip Rivers definitely has a lot of talent to work with at this position. Priority number 1 for the Chargers this offseason was to improve the offensive line. Philip Rivers was under constant duress all season long and was sacked 49 times. That affected the productivity of the offense as a whole. That's why in the draft, the Chargers selected DJ Fluker in the 1st round out of Alabama. Fluker was a dominant run blocker, and he'll do a good job of anchoring the right side of the line of scrimmage, aiding that running game that also was affected last season. Now, protecting the blind side this year will be Mack Starks, the 10-year vet coming over from the Pittsburgh Steelers, which will now slide free agent signing King Dunlap, who came over from the Philadelphia Eagles, to a backup role. And I think he's going to provide depth at both tackle spots, which is a good thing. On the inside, there's consistency with center Nick Hardwick, who's entering his 10th season as well. He's been a very productive player for the Chargers throughout the course of his career, and last year's 7th-round draft pick David Mulk is backing him up, and he's also being groomed to be the starter once Hardwick decides to hang him up. Right guard Jeremy Clary is another versatile player that can double as a tackle as well. And the main battle, in my opinion, will be for the left guard spot with 2 free agent signees in Chad Reinhardt coming over from the Buffalo Bills and Rich Armberger, who's coming over from the Arizona Cardinals. Either way, there's a lot of competition and there's a lot of depth. That's something we couldn't say about this Chargers offensive line last season. There's no question about the talent of the starters on the Chargers defensive line with Corey Liuget, Cam Thomas, and Kendall Reyes. That's a formidable front three. Both Liuget and Reyes caused all kinds of disruption up front, combining for 12.5 sacks last year, and both players could be even better this season. Cam Thomas anchors at the nose tackle position, and they're hoping that this season he'll join Reyes and Liuget with impactful play up front. The question is about the depth behind these guys. When you look at the nose tackle position, there's a lot of unproven but talented players, such as Georgia's Kwame Gathers, who's an undrafted free agent, as well as Byron Girardeau out of South Carolina, who's also an undrafted free agent. But both guys are capable enough, as they played in similar style defenses at the collegiate level. And at the 5 technique, Jamarcus McFarland out of Oklahoma is one of the more highly touted prospects going into the Sooners program, and I think he has a great opportunity to make the roster and see some time as the 5 technique. So again, there's not a shortage of talent, just unproven depth behind the frontline starters. The Chargers were dealt a huge blow in the offseason with last year's first-round pick outside linebacker Melvin Ingram going down with injury, and he's going to miss the entire season, but they instantly picked up a replacement in former Colt and future Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney. He's going to provide that pass rushing ability from the outside, as they were expecting Ingram to provide that this season. Opposite of Freeney, Jarrett Johnson is a very good run defender and does a great job in containing defense. 2 rookies this year have an excellent chance to provide situational depth behind both Johnson and Freeney. I look at 6th-round pick Torrek Williams out of Florida International, who was a solid defensive end prospect in college and will make the transition to outside linebacker, and undrafted rookie free agent Frank Beltre out of Towson, who shows outstanding pass rush capability. On the interior, there's Donald Butler, who finished last year 3rd on the team in tackles with 77, and next to him will be 2nd-round pick Manti Te'o out of Notre Dame. Everyone wants to talk Te'o, but for the wrong reasons. I'm going to talk Te'o because he's one heck of a football player, and the Chargers got a huge steal with him in the lineup. You're talking about an instinctive player that got better each and every year for the Irish and will be just as good as a pro as he was in college. I'm also a big fan of DJ Smith, whom they got in a free agent move from the Green Bay Packers. He was actually a starter for Green Bay until he got injured, and they still have Jonas Mouton providing quality depth as well on the interior. So I love the linebacking core of San Diego. They can get to the quarterback, and they can also stop the run. Normally, when a team replaces both starting quarterbacks, all hell breaks loose, but not in this case, because I actually think the Chargers will be fine with their 2 starting corners. Derek Cox comes over from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's a very solid cover guy that's entering his 5th season in the league with 12 career interceptions. Now, opposite of Cox, Sharice Wright will move into the starting role, and the talent is there for Wright to be successful, but the question is, can he sustain that over the course of a 16-game season as a starter? Now, the depth could be a concern. I know they drafted Steve Williams in the 5th round out of Cal, and they bring over Johnny Patrick from the New Orleans Saints, who I feel is a good player that will definitely embrace a fresh start. And keep an eye on 2 undrafted rookie free agents that could also factor in: Josh Johnson out of Purdue. I saw him down at the East-West Shrine game, and Kenny Okoro out of Wake Forest. Very good, talented player coming out of the ACC. At the safety spot, they're moving Marcus Gilchrist to strong safety, and Gilchrist is a former corner, so that could give them some flexibility versus teams like the Broncos or the Patriots that love to beat people with personnel. And backing him up is 2012 3rd-round pick Brandon Taylor, who's returning from an injury. At free safety is Eric Weddle, who's one of the better safeties in the league, and the Chargers playmaker in the secondary. Last year, Weddle had 3 interceptions and 97 tackles, and Darryl Stuckey is the backup behind Weddle, and I think he could see more of a role this year in the regular defense. I think he was a very good player coming out of Kansas. He just needs the opportunity. So overall, I like the talent with their frontline starters. The question will be whether or not the depth can come in and be an asset or a liability. That is what we have to see this year. The Chargers are fine in the kicking game. You look at Nick Novak last season. This is a guy that went 18 to 20 on his field goal attempts, 90%, 4 for 4 from kicks from 40 to 49 yards, and went 50% from kicks past 50 yards. So he's a very solid kicker. They can depend on him. Punter Mike Cyphers has been a very consistent player for the Chargers throughout the course of his 11-year career. The problem is he's always prone to getting his kicks blocked. Last year, he led the league with 3 blocked punts, but this is a guy that still averaged over 48 yards a punt. The return units could be held by a bunch of guys on this roster, even Keenan Allen as a rookie. Eddie Roy could do a great job as a punt returner. I have no problems with the kickoff return aspect. I think they can find anyone to fill that void. Punt return will be handled by Royal, so overall, this is a very solid unit. But let's take a look at what the Chargers have on the roster. Number one, overall team athleticism. This is a very athletic football team, both offensively and defensively. Two, they have a very solid defense. Again, this wasn't a bad defense last season. And third, there's a lot of talent at the skill positions on offense. This is a team that can beat you in many different ways, just about consistency. Now, what the Chargers lack, number one, a cohesive offensive line still has yet to be seen. Two, a constant and consistent running game. They got to get that better this year if they want to have some success. And third, continuity in a new offensive scheme. That's something that can be worked out throughout the course of the season, but they have to start off on the right foot. There's always a reason for optimism in San Diego when you have a pretty talented quarterback in Phillip Rivers, explosive components on that offense, and defensively they can get pressure on a quarterback and have a pretty good free safety in Eric Weddle. The problem is consistency. If they can play consistent, this team will always be in the hunt for big things. The cause for concern would be if this offensive line doesn't gel right away and get off to a good start, because that can affect the passing game as well as the running game, and we know this offense can't afford another season where they stumble right out of the gates. The road to the Super Bowl for the Chargers goes as follows. Number one, the offensive line holds up in protection. That goes a long way in helping that passing game get back to where it was a couple of seasons ago. And the running game becomes consistent. They have to be able to run the rock on a consistent basis. And third, the defense builds on last season's success with the influx of new talent and new starters. This wasn't a bad defense last season, so I think they're fine defensively. If they can continue to build on what they did last year, this team can find themselves in the playoffs and maybe in East Rutherford in February. I have the Chargers finishing third in the AFC West. This is a frustrating team. When you look at their roster top to bottom, you see nothing but talent, nothing but potential. But let's see how the Chargers do coming into the 2013 season without all the lofty expectations. You never know. Maybe this team might surprise and find themselves in the thick of things toward the year's end. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Charger fan forums for always showing football game plan support.